Ayuka, good to have you with us. So the French president has been calling for a boost to defence spending with the new colonialism at work, as he put it.
Well, Sharon, in his New Year address to the armed forces today, the president called for over 30 billion euros in additional defence budget by 2030, starting this year. This would be on top of the amount allocated under the current multi-year military planning law, which itself saw a 40% increase over 5 years. Luke Schrager takes a closer look.
For Emmanuel Macron, France will not be caught off guard in an increasingly dangerous world. The French president demanded another increase to the defence budget on Thursday and wants it passed within the next 6 months.
The
update to the military programming law, which will drive this change in scale, includes an additional 36 billion euros between 2026 and 2030 to speed up our rearmament, with 3.5 billion euros allocated in 2026 alone.
The law currently allocates 413 billion euros to the French military to the year 2030 and is updated every year. After those changes were pushed back several times, particularly against a backdrop of political deadlock in Parliament, Macron now wants to reach a 64 billion euro annual budget from 2027, some 3 billion more than in current allocations, which themselves stood at almost 16% of the state's total budget. There's little choice but for France to increase military spending. Global geopolitical upheavals, from Russia's war in Ukraine to Washington's rumbling about a military takeover of Greenland, have drastically reshaped defence expectations, especially with NATO. The military alliance wanted spending at least 2% of GDP, with France exceeding that 2 years ago at 2.1%. But NATO leaders set a new target last summer, calling for nations to hit 5% of GDP on defence budgets by 2035, and France appears determined not to miss the mark.
And you could talk to us a little bit about how the rest of Europe has been spending on its defence.
Well, total defence spending among EU members has been on the rise. It's gone up from 343 billion euros in 2024 to an estimated 381 billion euros last year, going above 2% of the bloc's GDP. Over the past 5 years, the total defence expenditure within the EU increased by around 63%. France and Germany account for about 44% of total EU spending, but in terms of the share of GDP, Poland has the highest among the 27 member states, followed by Greece and Finland. Southern countries are spending less. Lately, the focus has been on defence investments, which increased 150% over the past 5 years. The trend is set to continue under the European Defence Industrial Strategy introduced in March 2024, aiming to bolster the region's defence technology and industrial competitiveness. Spending on research and development has also been on the rise.
Meanwhile, UK global shipping countries are cautiously returning to the Suez Canal and the Red Sea, crucial maritime trade corridor linking Europe and Asia.
Well, Sharon, Danish giant Maersk said on Thursday that its container ships will start using the Trans-Suez route later this month, a move that could help end 2 years of global disruption. Major shipping countries stopped using the route in late 2023 due to attacks in the Red Sea by Yemen's Houthi rebels. The militants started targeting commercial vessels after the October 7th attacks, claiming to act in solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza. Shipping companies began using an alternative route via the southern tip of Africa, which significantly increased both time and cost of maritime transport. A ceasefire agreement reached between Hamas and Israel last October has led to some firms to consider returning to the route. Maersk is taking a gradual approach and says it will continue to monitor the security situation in the region very closely.
Now, global oil markets have been volatile amid tensions in Iran. Today, though, crude prices dropped significantly.
Yeah, the slump came following comments by US President Donald Trump saying he had been told that plans for executions in Iran had stopped and that he would wait and see on possible intervention. Major crude prices fell more than 4%, with the US's WTI dropping below $60 a barrel and international benchmark Brent sinking below $64 a barrel.
Finally, the US and Taiwan have reached a trade deal.
Well, the Trump administration says that the agreement will see Washington capping tariffs on imports from Taiwan at 15% and 0% for generic medicines, aircraft, parts and some natural resources. Taiwanese tech and chip companies will also invest $250 billion, and the government will provide a further $250 billion in credit guarantees to facilitate additional investment, according to the Commerce Ministry. Now, the announcement lifted tech and chip maker stocks, including AMD and Nvidia, and Wall Street's main indexes all closed in positive territory. Better than expected earnings results from Taiwanese giant TSMC also boosted confidence in the sector. And that's it from the business desk.
Yuka, thanks so much for all of that. Yuka Woya there with all the day's business news.